picks. You know, it's Impact on a great tank, it's DARKWINGS on a control mage. Could be a little scary.
But DSG just played to their win conditions wonderfully. You can see what is banned from Fearless in the middle. They had the triple divers, and they used the dive just right. I would say, for the people asking, like, what was Sentinel's plan in that game? Well, the plan was to not fall 5,000 gold behind and then be better in 5v5s, because they were almost better in 5v5s prior to the Soul. But now we'll see what happens in the rest of the series, because we were just talking about how Rahel has been the main win condition for Sentinels, oftentimes on hyper carries. And because DSG had so many divers, that pushed him off of hyper carries like Jhin. But now that those divers are no longer accessible, maybe this draft will open up more for a Rahel carry. Remember, both these AD carries are insane on Kaisa, which is going to be a priority pick as soon as one of them lock it in as well.
Yep, will be very interesting to see who grabs that first. As Ryze, obviously first picked here for DARKWINGS, really high prio pick. Azir was banned out in both of the games so far, and Orion has been taken away. So Ryze, kind of king of the mid lane from this position. We have seen people responding with both the Anivia as well as the Cassio. Those are kind of becoming the two really popular ones. A lot of early and mid-game power here, though, with the Renekton as well as the Pantheon. Point and click CC, a lot of lockdown, which can be something that Ryze does struggle against. You know, Ryze is relatively short range. Obviously, you can get tanky, but it's hard to pump out the damage when you're just constantly getting stunned.
For sure. And another mini global for Kryra. He had a Pantheon game against Lion where he was very effective as well. So another double AD top jungle. Last game they had the Ambessa Nocturne. This time they have the Renekton Pantheon. They had a very strong top jungle in game one. I think they're going to look to run that back.
Yep. Jarvan going to be coming through, so now we see, will Impact go for a counter pick here, or are they going to be trying to not necessarily match those roles? You know, maybe grab something for Rahel like we had talked about. But I kind of am assuming it makes sense, you know, just go for Impact's pick right now. You see the Renekton, and just kind of go forward from there. It prevents them from going for any sort of protection bans. Gnar has become the really popular answer. I mean, it was for many, many years. Has been just losing in the LCS, but Impact very heavily associated with the Gnar. Maybe not as much in the more recent years, but I feel like it's one of his iconic picks.
And we got the Kaisa locked in this time. It ended up getting banned in the 4-5. Both Rahel and Sajed have looked incredible on this pick whenever they've had it. And there's already two, I'd say, Kaisa enablers that press their stun to apply the Kaisa passive so she can fly in at the end of fights. So I'd say DSG is going to be very happy about their first 3 picks in this draft.
It's also great, you know, not only for the application of the plasma to be able to ult in, but something that I think sometimes people overlook is it really increases your DPS, right? Especially when you are these full AP builds. You know, we were talking about this on the dive. Medios was saying how, you know, in one of the games last week, one of the full AP Kaisas, their passive got up to doing 48% missing health damage. So when you have a lot of stuns and you're constantly applying plasma, you are proccing that like non-stop. When you're AP and you hit a W, that's 3 stacks of plasma. 2 stuns, a root, whatever. That's an insta-proc, and you are dealing 48% missing health damage. That is a 7-item AP Kaisa, to be fair, but it is quite a DPS increase at times. We are seeing the expected bans here. Mid lane going to be targeted by Sentinels as they have their mid laner. Bot lane going to be targeted by DSG as they, of course, do have their bot laner. And it is a couple of those hyper carries that you had talked about, you know, for Rahel. They ban away the Aphelios, they ban away the Gnar. They already double banned him in the first phase as well. You know, you can go towards some of the less common carry picks. You know, things like Jinx do sometimes come out, Zeri and so on. Corki is up and available if you want to go for a Corki. But Corki is the only thing that he has played that is not banned, so I'm kind of expecting he might just go there.
Probably has to. They don't ban out the Anivia despite banning out the Talia, so wouldn't be shocked if they go Anivia into the Ryze here. That's becoming a more popular pick. I mean, Raz said during Waiting Room that Rahel's been the best performing AD carry in the LCS. It seems like DSG doesn't completely disagree with that, as all of their bans have just been slammed into Rahel.
They definitely agree that he's the best performing AD carry on Sentinels, at the very least, you know? So, at the very least. So we know that much, so.
Ashe. Ooh, Ashe Seraphine.
Oh, this is actually hype. This is a really cool combo because of the passive slow from Ashe. It empowers the root. So if you are slowed when you get one hit of the Seraphine E, it roots you. If you are rooted, you get stunned, right? So when you do an auto or a W from Ashe, and then you have an empowered E, it actually stuns you from Seraphine. But the response of Blitzcrank is really hype.
DSG doesn't care. Like, they do not care what you pick. They will immediately slam whatever you know, the old school counter is going to be. They're looking to be exceptionally flexible in these drafts. I don't necessarily think this is like a winning lane always, but it's a skill check that they are going to be able to land the hooks and play aggressive.
I feel like jungle basically has to go bot in this game. Like, you have to play towards bot, because I actually think DSG in the 2v2, as long as you don't get hooked by Sentinels and you just play in the minions, I think they're going to stomp them. I think it's going to be really hard in the 2v2 against AShe Seraphine. It is a really tough lane to fight into, but if Kryra is there and you get flash knocked up and hooked, you're just dead, because you're going to get CC chain 100-0. It is going to be really, really difficult. So that is the challenge here for Rahel and Huhi, but very cool combo. Also worth noting that the Blitzcrank R pops shields. You have Seraph shield from the Ryze, you have Jarvan W, potentially even could be Asterix on Gnar, you have the Seraphine heals and shields as well, so like there's some value there too. This is honestly a really cool slam there from Lyonz, and they didn't hesitate at all. They saw that come through and they just insta-slammed it down, so exciting draft for game 2.
That's the more exciting part for me, is it wasn't like they see the AShe Seraphine, which it's a combo that other teams have picked historically, but we haven't seen in the LCS, and they immediately knew exactly what they wanted to do. It was a risky thing, and they did it right away, which just makes you think that this team is brimming with confidence, and it's such a stark contrast to what DSG was like last year. This is just a completely new team. They're completely trying to change their brand, and as you mentioned, junglers going bottom, Kryra's already there. He's hoping that they're going to check the bush, and they might be pulling off some shenanigans in the early game. Ooh, this is interesting.
Yeah, Kryra is looking like he wants to even potentially just start down here, but Huhi is moving to support. They know this is happening. I mean, Pantheon level 1 is very strong, and now they spot him, so now Kryra's going to have to just leave. He's not going to like die or anything, but you can't re-invade. That
really hurts Kryra right there. He was hoping to take over bot side.
Ooh, he's way behind.
But Huhi and HamBak really scout that out. Like, starting the sweeper as well as checking right after he starts it is kind of disastrous for DSG, but it makes me think the Sentinels were expecting this from the start of the game.
Yeah, they very clearly were. It's a great read from them. Maybe it's something that they've seen out of Kryra in scrims. You had touched on it earlier, but even when DSG was playing with Kisno, they were still scrimming with Kryra. I believe they said that they had like 3 total scrims with Kisno ever. Yeah. So clearly they have been scrimming against him. There is the cost, though, of Sajed getting the push. So we have Raz now standing on the sideline with Golden Glue. What do you think about that early game?
That's right. I've got Golden Glue with me right now, if you can look at the screen.
That's me. Hello.
As in, like, what are you, because right now you're basically not too happy about how the level 1 has been going.
Well, the level 1, I mean, I don't know. Oh, gosh, we just got hooked. I mean, I feel like I was a little spooked out watching that, especially with the camera vision. You know, I couldn't tell if we're about to get hooked or not. We pushed them off the red, but I still think right now it's looking very spicy in the early game.
It's a very spicy game, and I'll see if I can ask this question before I send it to casters. Just the thoughts on game 1, because game 1 it felt like a pretty slow, burning loss. Where do you think that's coming from, and like maybe something that you want to see from your team?
Yeah, I mean, I think in game 1, we had a little bit too much scaling and not enough priority. So as you can see, we kind of flipped it around. We have much more prio lanes this game, so we can have a stronger early game and kind of protect our camps more. So that's kind of like the change we're making game 1 to game 2.
And there's a lot to be afraid of because of how spicy this game is, but anything that you're noting from this composition, because an AShe Seraphine is cool, but then seeing the Blitzcrank from Lyonz, anything you're concerned about from the DSG side of the comp?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Pantheon and Blitz are a bit scary. They've got like the global to go on Ryze on side, but I do think it's one of those things is if we're grouped up, we can kind of, I think we'll win the fight. We just make sure we don't get picked off by random hooks or like split. Oh shit.
Oh!
Oh shit.
It is what it is. We'll send it to the casters because the action is going on.
He's so stressed. Golden Glue is so stressed, man.
Oh, poor Golden Glue. He is, yeah, he's looking extremely stressed.
At least they're double crabbing him. I mean, HamBak has done a good job capitalizing off of that late invade, so he's going to be 2 full crabs up. There was nothing really Kryra could have done to avoid that, and now might be, and you know, also gets the deep vision. I think resetting is the correct call as well, but despite the hooks, that lane's still working out fairly well for them. Huhi burned his flash, but I'd say it's worth it so far.
Yeah, I mean, the 2v2 is pretty unplayable, I think, for Sajed and Lyonz unless you can kill them. They have Force Flash, so they have their own Flash and the jungle Flash, and maybe they can call him down. But wanted to touch on Kryra, as we may see him getting involved. Another Flash force there by Lyonz, as Kryra was so good for DSG in his debut. Really showed up huge, playing against one of his heroes in Inspired. DARKWINGS does know they're down towards that bottom side, so should be able to sniff this out and avoid it. And will be able to do so. And he's on that ward.
Yeah, we'll be able to see it now, but we'll also just, I mean, he's lit up like a Christmas tree in here. He's walked through vision time and time again. They'll even see him doing the Gromp. So the rest of the lanes can play with a lot of safety, but it's just a matter of what can they actually pressure, because DARKWINGS has no Flash Ghost, and Impact is going CS for CS and trading very aggressively with Castle up top lane.
I mean, it was just so fun for me to see, you know, Kryra coming in, going up against Inspired. You're like, well, that's the hardest person you could debut against for a jungler. And having so much confidence, you know, not only did he play well, but he was kind of styling. Like, he was, you know, popping off on the player cam. Then in game 3 on the Mundo, he's in the base, he's spam taunting, you know, showing some personality, showing that confidence, which is just great to see, because this was a DSG roster that, you know, according to Ido, was meant to be kind of built around Kryra, and the idea that Ido really feels strongly, you play through jungle. That is the way to play the game right now. And Castle, he's trying to push for 6, but Impact at 6 first. Castle levels up, hits the ulti, has to flash back to do it. Castle thought he was going to get there first. Ryze does have no flash, but in comes the Realm Warp, and that is going to be a freebie, you have to think, for DARKWINGS. Castle trying to buy time for the abilities to come back, but can he slice and dice out to safety? They are waiting a long time on this. Impact is scared. He doesn't want to get involved because he knows he could get taken out. Rune Prison will grab first blood for DARKWINGS. Nicely done. Castle overplayed his hand. He thought he was going to get 6 first, but Impact beat him to it. Yeah, something must have happened with the way the minions went, because with where the wave was, I would think Renekton would get level 6 in that 1v1 as well. But Impact outplays him. And then also I'd say the Ryze is the great equalizer there. Whenever you have a really aggressive top lane trading pattern, whichever mid laner can move first often sways the matchup, and that's what ends up happening there. Yeah, really nicely done. I mean, DARKWINGS had no flash, but he just moves up towards top. You know, Realm Warps in. And so we can see it one more time. Yeah, watching this, trying to count the minions. Yeah, Impact just hits level 6 first. Must have had the experience advantage beforehand. Castle getting level 6 does delay it to prevent the actual one-shot. And aggression coming bot lane, but look. Lyonz has no hook, so his hook missed, and that is how the lane looks when you have no hook, is they just walk at you. You are outranged on the Kaisa. Huhi, though, has no flash, gonna get flashed on here, and the follow-up knock-up is there. Sajed coming in, they knock him down. Good gank from Kryra, but HamBak is level 6 first. Oh. Flashes forward, ults in. Sajed is locked into this Cataclysm, but Rahel cannot really join. Rahel is just hitting Kryra, and now HamBak on the side is losing the fight. Sajed flashes away. That's barely crazy. Survives. As everything goes pear-shaped, Rahel was just hitting Kryra. He needed to stay with HamBak, or HamBak needed to stay with him, but they were not on the same page. That is crazy that they ended up coming out of that one ahead. HamBak was level 6, Kryra was level 5, Lyonz was out of health, and they end up getting 2 kills out of nothing. That negates a lot of the advantage that had been built from the early laning from Rahel and Huhi. What a massive, just finger check there from DSG to come out on top against Sentinels. Yeah, Kryra, right place, right time. And even though HamBak had 6, he had the advantage. AShe was not hitting who he was hitting. They were just not on the same target. So everyone was low, but no one died. And that is one of those disaster scenarios where you kind of wonder, what were the comms like? You know, were they just calling for different things? Did they not realize what their teammates wanted to do? Because HamBak even committed his flash to go in on Sajed there, but Rahel was not in range, and he still had flash ghost. So you have to feel like there's a way they could have played that to hit the same target and probably come out on top. I absolutely think so. But now Sajed, despite being down 15 to 20 CS, is even in gold and also is 30 CS through his call. So he's going to be well on his way to being powerful. And the Kaisa power for both of these guys has been very high. As you can see, 3 games in every series Sajed has played it. In 2 of the series, Rahel has played it, and both of them have absolutely dominated on it. So we thought this was going to be a Game 1 pick. It ended up being a Game 2 pick that DSG picked early. So look out for Sajed later on in this game. Callme got a nice little trade there down on the DARKWINGS, who of course is playing Phase Rush. It has been nerfed a little bit for range users, but he's also on the Swifties. He has Ghost. He's got a ton of move speed to deal with some of the difficulties in this matchup. But Anivia scales really, really well, and the wall can be so effective. It's just kind of splitting up fights and making it annoying. you know, even if you're not just walling someone in for a stun, sometimes you can just wall out the Ashe or the Seraphine or whatever and kind of split up the fight and try to turn things around that way. But it is a bit of a tricky champion because it has such low mobility. You've really got to be careful about your positioning. This is not Phase Rush Orianna. This is not Azir where you're zipping around a fight. You got to be in the right place at the start of the fight.
Yeah, definitely an old school pick that has found new prevalence into this Ryze. And I think overall, it's not like it's just against a Ryze. I'd say it's good against the Ashe Seraphine too, just since it's 3 people that don't have a good way of navigating that wall. So it should allow them for some nice team fighting later. And Nocturne is in this game very briefly, but I think Drake is going to be traded for Grubs here, which if you're DSG, you're very happy about. Against the Ashe Seraphine, being able to get the first Drake on your side is huge.
It really is. You know, we saw Golden Glue in that interview talking about how they picked for winning lanes, but things weren't really going that great in the early laning. You know, Castle was kind of outlaning Impact in the first couple levels. He had pressure on him. You know, huhi got hooked twice, so they kind of lost some pressure there. DarkWings going to be able to stop the recall from Callme as he's getting quite low on mana, and DarkWings did just get back to lane. So happy to delay that base, but Callme should have enough mana to just clear out this wave and then reset.
Krara completely recovered from that early game as well, basically because of that skirmish down bottom lane. That, if you look back on this game, if this ends up being a DSG win, it's going to be about that fight that happened a couple minutes ago where the CS advantage was removed essentially between Sajed and Rahel in terms of overall gold, and then it also allowed Krara to gain back the advantage from his failed level 1 invade. Now it's kind of all on where Lyonz can go. It's still a difficult lane for him to play, but they're in a situation now where they might have the damage that one hook can actually lead to a kill.
Yeah, and Blitz is just one of these champions where if you are controlling vision, it is terrifying. And if you see the Blitz everywhere, he feels worthless.
Yeah.
He is just doing nothing at all. So it is going to be a big vision game here. Of course, it is scary for huhi to be checking things, but he's walking with DarkWings at this point. Not going to be too worried about it. And it's just a really tough matchup in the 2v2 if you are not landing those hooks. So we'll see. Seraphine scales incredibly well, and I just kind of have this feeling that the game is going to move more and more and more towards enchanters. With the role quest giving additional gold to supports, enchanters just outpace melee supports so heavily when they're on multiple items, and it's much easier to get towards multiple items in competitive games now than it ever really has been, because control wards cost less, you get passive gold, as Impact taking a big trade here against Castle, who will be forced to pop that ult, has his flash, may have to use it as in comes the Realm Warp. Can he even survive? Flash forward there from HamBak with the flash Q. DarkWings gonna try to finish him off. Drops the turret aggro, barely survives. Wasn't the cleanest, but they do get it done on the second roam from DarkWings.
Is it worth it, I think, is gonna be a question though, as they're pushed off bot lane entirely, and a couple of plates go over to Callme. So DarkWings did get that assist, but he had a 600 gold lead before that roam, has a 300 gold lead now, has really relieved the pressure on the Anivia and given up pressure on the bottom lane. So that might have been an overinvestment. We'll see if Impact can take over the side lane from here, but the immediate reaction to that play is that it monetarily wasn't worth it in the short term.
Yeah, I completely agree. HamBak gonna get spotted on the ward. They're still waiting around. I don't think he's gonna expect this. Gonna get stunned in. In comes the killer instinct from Sajed. HamBak, remember, he spent his flash in the previous play. Sajed gonna have to cleanse flash out. Nice sidestep on the ulti coming through there from huhi, but DarkWings is coming on the roam. He's gonna be able to reinforce them pretty quickly. Callme trying to get there in time to help out. Maybe can throw down the wall and keep Krara safe. Looks like he will be able to. Lyonz has the hook back up, but it's gonna be a whiff as DarkWings is just gonna push forward through this Anivia ulti, gets walled out. No one does die, but a lot of summoners spent. If it wasn't for Sajed sidestepping the Seraphine ult, I think he would have went down.
I completely agree. Flash, ult, and cleanse all down from Sajed. You can see flashes still up for the mid lane as well as both AD carry and support for Sentinels. So they win out overall on that little 4v4. I want to credit DarkWings for a lot of this early game. He has been first to move in so many situations. I think he's been crucial to their ability to play with prio. But with all that being said, gold is even and it's 1 Drake to 0 for DSG. So a lot of league left to be played.
Absolutely is. And double tiers stacking up, of course, for huhi and DarkWings. Anivia has a tier of his own. But it always feels really nice on these enchanter supports to be able to afford the tier and not get punished, because you're spending a lot of your early game gold for no combat power whatsoever. But the Whispering Circlet upgrades into like Diadem or whatever. That item is very, very strong for enchanters. And helps with a lot of the mana issues that you do have. So being able to actually have an Enchanter support item, that is some of the changes that I think really did help out Enchanters coming into the season.
I completely agree. I think if you want to gain elo and you don't mind playing Enchanters, like just doing tier Seraphine and Sona all day in solo queue and playing a lot of games, you're just going to gain elo, man. Like, you're just, the shielding and healing becomes so overpowering later in the game. In Pro, it can definitely be a little different with all the different angles and coordination that DSG can engage on them with. So it's the complete opposite, really, of playing Nico, where he's constantly looking for these engage angles. He needs to be constantly on the lookout of getting engaged on. But if they set up in the 5v5, once he has that fully upgraded Diadem of Songs, will be very powerful.
Yeah, I mean, the baseline of Seraphine is just comically higher than that of Blitzcrank, right? Blitzcrank must hit a hook on a primary carry to have equal or better value than the Seraphine, who just has to basically press W in a team fight, right? Like, if you hit a tank, if you hit no one, you're doing nothing on Blitzcrank. So a lot of pressure on Lyonz. We'll see if he can make something happen. He's going to get connected onto by that Ashe arrow. Has his flash available. Didn't flash anything. Just CC'd down. 100 to 0. In comes Kryra and Callme. They arrive. Flashing forward there on a HamBak. They're going to try to knock him down. Sajed gets the kill there as DARKWINGS arrives. Sajed incredibly low. Rahel pushing forward. He's going to fall. Callme in trouble. Kryra in trouble. He's going to go back in with the sun. Try to take one with him. But he's rooted up. He's stunned up. Rahel gets a double. And the fight from DSG goes terribly as Rahel gets paid and gets the double buff.
That's the fight that could swing the game for Sentinels. Double buffs all across the board. The Ryze ult comes in at just the right time. I mean, Callme's going to try and move in right here, but this seems rather ambitious by Callme and Lyonz.
Yeah, I mean, with what damage are you going to do something here? He's hoping for some sort of a misplay, a miracle steal, but they're going to be able to grab it. No problem at all. Lyonz did have the hook, but didn't think he had to flash the ulti coming through from the Ashe. But once he got tagged by that, the CC chain was brutal because in comes HamBak, in comes the CC from huhi, and I don't know if he got a spell off. He just kind of died for free.
No, he got absolutely nothing off. I feel like if he even just gets an ult off, it might be enough to equalize that fight. And I think that's kind of what DSG was hoping for, because once the engage happened, DSG kind of fully committed to this fight. So kind of watch this. As the arrow comes in, Kryra and Anivia are already in river, so Pantheon starts channeling his ult and the teleport now, thinking that maybe Lyonz would be able to fight back. Now they're committed, they're trying to salvage the play. Kryra gets hit by the Seraphine ultimate, so tries to go all in, and they do kill HamBak, but all of this is just a result of how clean that initial kill was and how DSG immediately took the fight once the Ashe arrow engaged, so it ends up becoming a very big win for Sentinels.
DARKWINGS does have no sums, but Castle does not have the damage to be able to finish him off there. And is going to end up equalizing that trade as DARKWINGS pop the Ghost and trades it back at the end of it. And yeah, I mean, it was just great CC chain in on the Lyonz, Crystal Arrow into the knockup, into a stun from the E coming through from huhi because there was all that CC already on him. And that just meant he went down in a hurry, and huhi timed the encore, the ulti, really, really well. So not only did he hit Kryra, but he forced the flash from Callme.
Yeah.
You know, it was really well done. And once you lose some of those engage tools, Rahel's stepping forward, and he is going to be slowing you down and really punishing you heavily. So this game now feels like it is definitely going in the favor of Sentinels. We'll see if they can turn this around as HamBak going to take the bad end of a trade there. Kryra gets him chunked down a little bit low, but HamBak does get some damage back to try to even things out. And you can see Kryra just feels like, hey, I need to protect Anivia in the side lane because Anivia, very low mobility, can be super vulnerable, especially with no flash.
I mean, Sajed is going to be in a position where he's the one who needs to carry. He's got a decent amount of gold on the Kaisa, but it's just a really hard game to play right now if he's always flying into the Ashe Seraphine. You can see DSG really want to be able to contest this, but probably realize that it's a losing fight. So more indecision for sure in this game out of DSG, because they're not even aggressively trading elsewhere. Whenever you're kind of just eye contacting someone at an objective and you decide not to engage, you end up not trading back for much on the rest of the map.
Yeah, they were trying to push as fast as they could with Castle, but you know, maybe denied a minion or two. I'm not even sure if he got a plate, but not much of anything, as you're saying. You know, Impact had his TP available, so he TPs down as soon as that objective does fall, and Impact was just ready for it. He had the Mega Gnar ready to go, had the TP to respond to the side lane, so well prepped there by Sentinels. They play the map well. Sajed, though, is that one with the gold lead here, up about 900 gold, even though he's down farm and has the same amount of kills as Rahel, so has been able to cash in on some of those plates. Impact could be in some trouble. There's the stun into the hook. Do they have the damage here from Kryra? Will he Mega out? huhi flashes in, has the shield to try to protect him, and now Impact's going to be able to go Mega. Castle gets knocked up. He's going to be thrown to the wall. Surely, in comes the ulti there from huhi. They don't have the damage to finish anyone off just yet. Rahel now arriving. HamBak messes up. Oh no, okay, I guess that was the spectator. Kind of went weird on the flag and drag, but does end up knocking him down. Rahel pushing forward. Can they try to turn anything around? Kryra has to flash out. Sajed is in trouble. This is a disaster. Lyonz is incredibly low. They're corralled under the turret. Callme comes in. Can they defend the dive? Lyonz is so low, Herald. And they have the Herald. This is going to go down in a hurry. HamBak going to get interrupted, though, by the Anivia wall. Nicely played by Callme. They still don't have a wave here, as the Anivia may have just bailed them out of this situation. Well done, but on the other side of the map, the Ryze is cashing in the top lane.
I mean, it's bad for DSG, but it could have been a lot worse. As you can see, DARKWINGS getting free plates. I feel like HamBak actually jumped out of the Herald there. Not entirely sure if it was the wall that canceled or not, but I thought the Herald would have allowed them to dive if it just stayed in turret range. I think everyone there under the turret would have died, but regardless, they lose the members, they lose multiple waves, and now they're 3,000 gold down in the game.
Yeah, was that that Anivia wall? He just threw it down when he hopped in. That got the interrupt. Maybe he could have just not got in.
I think you just don't get in.
Exactly. Just let the Herald go for the charge. He can still wall it, but then you're spending the wall on just on that Herald and not really getting anything done. And huhi able to come in. They just don't have enough damage to kill off this Impact.
It's a Renekton who's behind and a Gnar who's ahead, which we talk about as the scaling of those early ganks. And then the Kaisa's just behind on the play. I'd say huhi with the ultimate, even though it only hits one, delays the play long enough. And yeah, the flag drag, all doesn't matter, got the kill. Before eventually DSG managing to live under the turret, but still 2,500 gold, 20 minutes in.
Yep, looking good. DARKWINGS scaling well this game. Gonna pop the Ghost early here. Kryra may be able to catch up to him, does have that smite, but on the other side, it's gonna be Lyonz again getting caught out. They are behind, and when you're behind on Blitz, you are looking useless, and Lyonz definitely is looking that this game thus far as huhi, HamBak, and Rahel take him out. So a lot of crystals built up there. Callme trying to get some damage down. In comes the Encore, gonna get flashed by Callme. Nicely done by him. Kryra arrives. In comes everyone from DSG. Impact on the side, though, is crushing them. Puts the Anivia into the egg, and there's a shutdown onto Rahel. Sajed is just free-firing now. Sajed is starting to pick up a lot of kills, but can Impact and DARKWINGS make it happen? It's the solo laners here on the side trying to get it done. Impact goes into mini. They're gonna try to back it up. Can Castle get in over onto DARKWINGS? Slice, dice. The slow does not connect as the phase rush was still proc, but the stun does come through, and now Sajed is going forward. They're trying to knock him down. Do they have the damage? Just barely get the shutdown. Castle gets paid. That was a great fight for DSG.
They're absolute psychopaths. I mean, Callme seemed like he started that in a 1v4, but this is the sneaky power of both Sajed and Rahel on Kaisa. They just seem to clean up these messy fights, and now he's really fed on the Kaisa after the end of that, and that's without the 800 gold shutdown going down at the end. So HamBak wanted to get that engage, but Sajed bails on the Ashe arrow, leaves Lyonz to die. Great bodyguard. And then it's like, you feel like the play is completely over, but as Callme's in this bush, they coordinate it with the teleport from the Renekton and the Pantheon ultimate. With Rahel being positioned up top, they actually kill him at the start of the fight. And then when it's 180 carried to 0, there's not enough damage to kill the level 14 Renekton. So a really psycho fight that Sentinels just wasn't expecting to have happen, but DSG was all on the same page. Now they're going for Drake.
Yeah, we're back to live over here by the Dragon. Can DSG knock this down? HamBak is in the area. It is getting focused down quick. Ashe arrow will not connect onto Callme. Is he able to sidestep it? Impact has Megan already. He's going to go in. It's going to be secured, though, by Kryra on the side. We can see Impact has CC'd up Lyonz, who goes down in a hurry. The sun comes across multiple members as they are locked in the Cataclysm. Kryra can't get anything done, but Sajed is going to ult into the side, knocks down HamBak. Callme trying to duel against DARKWINGS here, who's going to be able to win out on that one. A bit of a scrappy fight, but at the end of the day, DSG do get the Dragon, and it is just the 1-for-1. They kill up HamBak.
Scrappy fight in a very scrappy game. The smite steal going in the favor of Kryra is what makes this a winning play. But then when Castle picks up this turret, that's a bounty that he picked up on Ryze at the end of the last fight. That's 2 turrets that he's picked up as well. So despite dying 3 times, he's actually up 800 gold on the Renekton. Watching this one more time, these fights are really about whether or not Sajed can make a strong entrance. And at the beginning of the fight, the Seraphine and the Ashe kind of keep him back. So big smite here, 1,500 to 0, times it with the Q. Sajed just waited until someone was spread out in this fight, and it's actually HamBak. Once he took that EQ through the team, Sajed says, hey, wait a second, you're completely walled off from the team. The Anivia ult and the wall was holding the middle of the river, and they end up trading it 1-for-1, which they are very happy about.
I feel like Callme is smurfing in a lot of these fights too. You know, that previous fight, he was playing really well. This was a quote from Sven on Pros about picking, you know, Sentinels or DSG. He said that they originally wanted to pick Sentinels, but then they couldn't because they got 2nd seed. And a lot of people thought, okay, well, you're going to pick DSG. But instead, they actually picked FlyQuest, you know, so showing that their power rankings kind of had DSG as the best of those 3 teams. And Castle, going to be annoying, steals that red buff away. Should be able to walk this one out, but yeah, I mean, Callme has just played so confidently with all the move speed that he has. He has the upgraded Swifty boots and, you know, flying in a lot of these fights, utilizing his passive well, forcing people to go in on him, and creating space for the rest of his team.
I mean, his weird river flank in that mid lane fight is what actually turned it, and that's crazy as well.
He goes in very nicely timed ult from Rahel. He just stuns him instantly when he arrives. No one from DSG was really in the area to follow up. I'm not sure what Kryra saw there. Maybe didn't realize so many members were around, but he dies for free. And now they're just going to start the Baron.
Okay, so it's just Anivia Blitz Kaisa. This might be one where they try and trade gold rather than fight, since Sajed might want to protect his gold lead. Let's see the teleport in. Gnar's no TP, so it is a temporary 4v4. No jungler, though.
They got to force. Castle pops the ulti. They're going for it. They're looking for Rahel. Rahel is going to get actually cleansed out, but he just dies anyway. DARKWINGS on the side is getting zoned off. HamBak is in some trouble. Sajed ults forward. DARKWINGS is going to fall. Impact has now arrived. He almost has Mega. Can he make something happen? Does land the stun. The wall-up comes through. Jumps in. Stuns up Sajed. Knocks down Sajed. Huhi on the side, trying to run from Callme. Gonna have to flash over the wall. HamBak and Impact battling against Castle, but Castle pushes them back. DSG hold on, defend the Baron. Aren't able to get it themselves, though, thanks to the reinforcements from Impact knocking down Sajed.
Still, your call out on Callme is true once again this fight. He is just landing these incredibly slow-moving skill shots on priority targets every single time. So we're going to watch the beginning of this. They thought Rahel was catchable.
What did he see?
He sees Rahel in mid lane, and he's going to stun him into a blitz hook. But then when all of Sentinels see him channeling, they can see where he's going and collapse very quickly. From here, though, Rahel just gets caught between a rock and a hard place. The Renekton is pushing him. The wall pushes him into the Renekton as well, and Sajed can just walk him down. The continuation of this fight also ends up being a little bit messy, since Huhi's pushed out the back. Anivia stuns DARKWINGS, and it's just become a scrappy game where I'd say the Kaisa keeps getting more and more gold, and Rahel is actually the one that keeps getting picked off by the Pantheon or the Renekton or a random Kaisa flying in.
And I mean, even with that perfect Mikhails there from Huhi on the Renekton side, it just didn't matter because so much damage was piling in on Rahel. And I think what actually happened with that Kryra ult, there was a pink ward in the side brush from Sentinel, so I think he didn't see the Ryze. I don't think he realized that DARKWINGS was there. So I think he thought, oh, it's just the Ashe, I send it, and then all of a sudden you get Vision as you're ulting in, oh, Ryze is there too. That's problematic. So able to turn it around, and now DSG up 1K gold, even with Sentinels feeling like they had a much better start than last game. DSG has been able to find a lot of success. It feels like the Blitz hasn't done really anything, to be honest, but it just hasn't mattered because the rest of the team is playing so well.
Blitz has really done nothing.
Yeah.
It's been...
He landed that hook early in the lane that got a flash at like 2 minutes.
He takes damage in team fights that isn't damage dealt to someone who matters.
You know what he's done? He bought Vandal Pipes. He knows his role. He's going to apply, he's going to give an attack speed buff to the Kaisa.
He needs to apply CC to proc the pipes. So you never know. Just an E or a Q. I agree with you. The pipes are important.
Yeah.
Looks like we might see it like a Baron for Drake trade. With the current value of Baron, I'm actually taking Drake most of the time, but if they can get a fight with Sentinels being low, it would be worth it. So they're going to slowly move up here. as HamBak is now at a quarter health.
Oh, there's the Ashe arrow in on the Castle. They're locking him up in the CC chain. It's just not ending. Castle, even through the Sterix, even through the ulti, just goes down. That CC was never ending. Really beautiful chain between the Ashe, the Gnar, the Seraphine, and now they are over onto this Baron. This Seraphine already on 2 completed items, plus the upgraded boots, plus the tier. DSG realized we can't contest this. Huhi's going to keep them too healthy. They're going to have to trade for the Dragon.
Yep, 4v5. They have to trade for the Drake as well. That's kind of the worst case scenario, though, when you're slow checking if your Renekton ends up getting one shot. Not enough tenacity to break the CC chain. But Sentinels really have to do something with this Baron power play now because they're giving up Soul Point. Mountain Soul Point, which I think if they complete the Soul, they will end up winning the game. That's 1 tier 2 turret, makes the Baron power play plus 1,600. Honestly, paying 1,500 gold for Mountain Drake is seeming pretty even to me, so the rest of this Baron will still be very important for Sentinels.
Exactly. That's the real question, is how much can you get with it? The disparity in power between Blitz and Seraphine now cannot be overstated. I think it's the biggest differential in power between anyone in this game. Like, he's up multiple levels. He's on 2.5 items. He's going to have 3 items on the Enchanter pretty soon. Lyonz is on 1.5. He is useless unless he can actually hook the Ashe or the Ryze or something, or maybe the Seraphine. But not really being given the opportunity. And the timing on the CC chain from Sentinels is so well done. Like, it's easy to just see that and say, oh, look at that CC. It's so easy to do, but they're not overlapping anything. It's just perfect. And they're just locking Castle. Like, his build is pretty tanky. He's got a Death Dance and a Sterix, died through that with the ulti already popped.
Yeah. Might want to go for some Mercury Treads. I know the Steel Caps are very good against Ashe, but if he's going to be getting CC chained like that, he needs a little bit more freedom. Trying to get some mid plates here as Sajed is clearing the turret. Everyone's doing a really good job hiding behind minions as well, making sure Lyonz stays useless.
And a level 11 on the Blitzcrank. Very far down in the experience now at this point. Huhi's closing in on 14 about by the time that Lyonz does hit 12. So the scaling really powerful now. Of course, you are hoping you can kind of just delay this Baron buff as much as possible, and that Sajed can just crush it in the team fights. He's on 4 items, has the Zhonya's, and has shown his prowess on this Kaisa a number of times.
Yeah, just some insane team fight outplay potential. But if the more fed the Seraphine gets, the beefier the team fight ball can become for Sentinels. And these team fights have become really, really spread out, which I feel like if they stay a little bit closer together can be better for Sentinels. Hard to push against Anivia, though.
By both, honestly. Wow. Great side steps across the board as Huhi now throwing in the Encore. In comes Kryra. He's going to be looking, flashes forward, tries to knock him down, but Kryra's incredibly low and Kryra's going to fall. Sentinels get another kill there as HamBak goes forward. Castle will survive. The hook gets a minion. That's about the best he's done in a while as Castle trying to threaten, but he just can't. Sajed is outraged. In comes the Mega Gnar. He's going to get stunned up against the wall. Wallop does connect, and now Callme in a lot of trouble. Going to get Mega Gnar against the wall. He goes into the passive egg. Sajed is focusing down Impact. Can he get the kill? He can, but his mid laner is traded back on the side. DARKWINGS chasing after Castle. Castle tries to slice over the wall, but fails it. Went too early. Can't get through. Gets knocked down. Now DARKWINGS with the Ryze. I'll try to get in onto Sajed. Flash for flash. There's the hook, but can he even win the fight? The tower shot, not enough to knock him down because in comes the Seraphine to keep him safe.
What a fight there by Sentinels. Narrowly, if they get one more kill, they might be able to end the game off that. So in terms of what they can do with the Baron, they cash in towards the end, but you do have to eventually kill the Kaisa. That's the ticking time bomb for DSG in this game. I'd say Kryra's gone a little too deep a couple times in this game. Him getting one shot really emboldened Sentinels to fly through right here. Nice use of the egg, though, and the wall right beforehand to make it difficult for them to pile through. Allow Sajed to kill Impact's Gnar during the fight. And then the Castle panicking a little. I'd say if he waits another quarter second to E over the wall, it's probably just a 3 for 3, but it ends up being a big win for Sentinels and a very emotional Golden Glue, I'd say, throughout this whole series.
Oh yeah, he's looking stressed, feeling the pressure for sure. Wants to be able to have a successful playoff run here, of course, coming over from that 100 Thieves squad last year, where they surprised a lot of people, had a lot of success. Really was kind of like a heartwarming story, to see this team kind of outperform a lot of expectations. Then, of course, the team exits the league, Sentinels comes in, Golden Glue moves over to that organization, and really hoping to have some big success here with that squad. But To your earlier point, I agree. It feels like Kryra is oversending it. It did happen a couple times when he was playing Pantheon and last week against Lions, against Lion, but wasn't really punished for it that much. This time, a couple times, has been a bit over anxious. I feel like they could have just waited out the Baron and then fought after, but instead he saw an angle, went in, and the CC timing from Sentinels has been so good. He's getting insta-CC'd as he arrives on the Pantheon ult every time.
Might see a fight here, but probably just giving up the turret, hoping for a Mountain Soul fight. Also have shield reduction purchased by Kryra. It's not going to help his tankiness at all, but the Serpent's Fang, if they're just trying to kill whoever's in front with how powerful Seraphine is now.
I mean, I keep touching on it, but Blitz is on one item, and the 2K support gold lead actually means so much because it's a scaling enchanter. He has 3 items to 1 completed item for Lions.
And a fully completed tier as well. The item of songs is completely completed. Echoes, I also think, is just a broken item when you're able to get rolling in these team fights. So they just have to give this Drake no matter what.
It's going to be the Dragon going over. DSG, of course, it was sitting at Soul Point from that earlier trade of Dragon for Baron, but their attempt at Soul will be delayed. Ashe Arrow comes out. Rahel has been wide on most of these. Good sidesteps by DSG to avoid them. And Lions going to have to see if he can find a way to get an impactful fight. You know, try to get a carry.
To fight.
Yeah, DSG are posturing. Kryra moving forward here. Sajed on the side with him, but they are split up, and Callme is going to be flashed on there by HamBak, and in comes the Encore. The CC is punishing, and in the backline, Impact is sunning up the entire team. They are locked down. They are knocked down. It's a triple already for DARKWINGS, as he is just destroying them in this fight. Impact picks up another. It was nearly a quadra. Callme TP's out to safety, but there is nowhere to run, nowhere to hide from the Sentinels team.
DARKWINGS just overpowers DSG in this last fight. Huhi also empowering everyone with the massive support gap in this game too. It's looking like Sentinels is equalizing the series.
Yeah, they are marching on the Nexus. Callme gonna get rooted up, gonna get locked down. The CC chains just never end. Huhi with a fantastic Seraphine game, showing off the power of the pick, and Sentinels coordinating so well on their timing with the CC across multiple fights. They tie up the series. A great bounce back after a really tough game 1.
And a really scrappy game 2 as well. They had to clutch up. They didn't tilt. They trusted their late game scaling. Spam the chat now for your player of the game. Lounge, what was the key?
Well, Grayson said priority. Golden Goose said we need pushing lanes. For me, they had a real fighting chance this game with the competition that they had.
Yeah, I mean, Seraphine and Ryze later were putting in a lot of work, and they started getting some picks with Ashe arrows as well. This was so back and forth, though, Emily. Okay,
yeah.
Let's start by going back to the beginning of